Throughout history, empires have risen with great ambition, strength, and vision. They've commanded respect, wielded influence, and built legacies that seemed unbreakable at the time. Yet, despite their outward grandeur, every empire shares a common story, one of decline that begins long before the final collapse. The first sign of trouble is often an unwarranted sense of invincibility. When success becomes the new normal, leaders and citizens alike start to believe that their empire's strength is eternal. This overconfidence breeds complacency, making it easy to overlook vulnerabilities lurking beneath the surface. As complacency sets in, the focus shifts from building sustainable growth to maintaining the status quo. Short-term gains become the primary objective, often at the expense of long-term stability. Leaders may indulge in lavish spending, unnecessary military campaigns, or policies that benefit a select few, all while ignoring the foundational issues. Instantaneously, the leadership's humility diminishes. Decision-makers begin to surround themselves with yes-men and advisors who echo their beliefs rather than challenge them. This echo chamber prevents critical introspection and blinds the ruling class to emerging threats. The institutions that once upheld the empire's strength gradually weaken. Corruption seeps into political, economic, and social systems. When accountability erodes, trust diminishes, and the social fabric begins to tear, citizens start questioning whether their leaders have the best interests of the empire at heart. Economic stagnation often accompanies these signs. Innovation slows down, and the empire clings to outdated practices. Instead of adapting to changing circumstances, leaders double down on traditional methods, making the empire vulnerable to external shocks. Meanwhile, external threats intensify. Rivals emerge, exploiting weaknesses and challenging the empire's dominance. If the leadership fails to respond effectively, these external pressures accelerate the decline, further draining resources and morale. Internal divisions deepen as inequality grows and social unrest spreads. When large segments of the population feel disenfranchised or oppressed, the social cohesion that once held the empire together begins to fray. Dissent turns into unrest, and stability becomes increasingly fragile. Financial mismanagement becomes more pronounced. Excessive borrowing, unsustainable debt levels, and speculative bubbles create a fragile economy. When confidence in economic stability wanes, markets become volatile, and the empire's financial foundation begins to crack. Leadership's response to crises often worsens the situation. Instead of proactive reforms, reactive measures are taken, band-aid solutions that temporarily mask problems but fail to address root causes. This reactive approach deepens the crisis and erodes further confidence. As crises mount, be it military defeats, economic collapses, or political upheavals, the empire's decline accelerates. The once strong structures begin to crumble piece by piece under the weight of accumulated problems. The fall is rarely sudden, but rather a slow erosion, a gradual unraveling of the empire's core. Once the cracks appear, external forces and internal weaknesses combine to accelerate the inevitable. In the final stages, leadership often loses control. Power struggles, leadership vacuums, and chaos become the norm. The empire's institutions that once provided stability are now overwhelmed by disorder. The populace, disillusioned and divided, loses faith in the system altogether. The social contract is broken, and a sense of hopelessness takes hold. When people have little faith in their leaders or institutions, the foundation of the empire is truly compromised. The military, once the backbone of the empire, may become ineffective or disloyal. When leadership loses legitimacy, armies withdraw their allegiance, and internal strife replaces external threats. This internal collapse accelerates the empire's final downfall. Trade routes, economic networks, and alliances that once strengthened the empire now become liabilities. Overextension and overreach stretch resources dangerously thin, making it impossible to sustain the empire's ambitions. The infrastructure, roads, aqueducts, and public buildings that once symbolized power and stability begins to decay. Neglect and lack of investment hasten the physical decline of the empire's physical and administrative structures. Leadership may attempt to cling to power through repression or desperate reforms, but these measures often backfire. Instead of restoring stability, they deepen divisions and create new vulnerabilities. Ultimately, the empire's fall is a process of cumulative failure. It's the result of ignoring warning signs, overestimating resilience, and failing to adapt to changing circumstances. The lessons of history are clear. No empire is immune to decline. The seeds of destruction are often planted long before the final collapse, buried beneath layers of complacency and hubris. Recognizing these signs early is crucial. Vigilance, humility, and a willingness to change are the best defenses against decline. Leaders must remain humble and grounded in reality, always aware of their vulnerabilities,